Now I know that we said not very many people here are actually responsible for the welfare of a crew at sea, but that's about to change. I congratulate you all because you all have just been promoted. Each one of you has just been promoted to be chief mate of this ship. Chief mate is second in command as the chief operations officer, you could say. And this is your ship. This is the Californian, a square topsail schooner, sails the west coast of the US and Canada and out to Hawaii and back. She's 145 feet long. Her masts are 95 feet tall. She carries 5,000 square feet of sail. So this is your ship. And here you are, actually, silhouetted on the foredeck there in your broad-brimmed hat. That's actually me in the photograph. But for now, this is you. And you are directing that crew member who's climbing up the rigging to try to get a sail down. Because that's what you do. As chief mate, chief operations officer, you direct the crew. The captain gives an order, and it's up to you to make it so. So, for example, one of the basic maneuvers of handling the ship is called tacking. How many sailors in the room here? People who know what tacking is? A few. We're close to the water. Well, tacking is turning the ship in a particular way toward the wind, and it requires the crew to handle all of the sails in the right sequence and with the right timing and in a hurry as the ship turns. And on a ship this size, you can imagine this is a complicated maneuver. So this is how it works. Let's say that you're sailing under a traditional captain, someone who likes to do things in the old school way, and we'll call him Captain R. So Captain R is back at the wheel, and when it's time to tack, he shouts out in a voice that carries to the masthead, "Ready about!" which is the command to tack. So then you leap into action. You jump up on the hatch and you start to direct the crew. And you say, "You there to the leeward headsail sheets, and you two to the windward. You to the staysail, and you there, stand by the topsail braces." So don't worry about the salty lingo. You're the mate now, so you understand all this. But you're telling everybody exactly what to do. And when you see that everybody is in position, you shout back to the captain at the wheel, "All ready on the foredeck!" And he replies, "Helms a lee," which is the command to tack. So the ship starts to turn. And now you are focused on the sails. And at just the right moment, as the wind starts to catch the sails, you call out to the crew, "Pass the jib and pass the flying jib." And the crew start madly hauling away on the sails. And a moment later, at just the right time, you shout out, "Pass the staysail," and the crew leap to the staysail. And then a moment later, it's, "Let go and haul the topsail braces." And the topsail swings around. The ship is off on her new course. The tack is beautifully executed. And you believe that all of this depends on your voice. And you've taught the crew to believe this too. They're all looking to you. But now let's say that Captain R has gone ashore for some well-deserved leave, and you're sailing under a new captain, Captain Andy Ray Ellers, who's the real-life captain that I sailed under on the Californian. And Captain Andy has a different style, especially when you're in port and you're doing day sails with tourists around the harbor. So then the deck is cluttered with landlubbers, spilling their drinks and dropping their food on the deck. And having you leap up and shout commands over everyone's heads, well, Andy has a different approach. So Captain Andy always wears a ball cap when he's sailing. And he's back at the wheel, charming the guests. Everyone wants to talk to the captain. But at some point, he turns his ball cap sideways, like this. Now, you and the rest of the crew are also mingling with the guests, telling your sea tales. But you all have half an eye on Captain Andy, and somebody notices the ball cap. So they excuse themselves from the conversation, and they move to position at a sail. Someone else notices them moving, and pretty soon that awareness has rippled through the whole crew, and everyone is in place. So then you signal back to Captain Andy at the wheel, and he turns his ball cap backwards. Now the ship starts to turn, and the crew are focused on the sails. And at just the right moment, as the wind starts to catch the sails, they pass the flying jib and they pass the jib. They wait a moment, and at the right time, they pass the staysail. They let go and haul the topsail braces. The topsail swings around. The ship is off on a new tack. The tack is beautifully executed once again. And you have said nothing. No one has spoken a word. The crew know their job. Now, maybe one time they're too fast on the staysail and you need to tell them, hold that sail. But you don't say anything. This is the command for hold. Because the crew also have half an eye on you. They see this command, they wait, and in a moment you can let them carry on. Whoops. Speaking of carrying on. So when you're done with the tack, you go back to your conversations with the guests, and they all say, "Well, that was very smooth. We didn't even hear any commands. How did you know what to do?" And you smile and say, "Many hands one mind. When we're in sync, the ship tacks herself.